My parents skipped my graduation to cheer for my sister's dance. So I took the stage and told everyone the truth about our family. I 22M, never thought I'd be the kind of person to cause a scene at my own graduation. But life has a way of pushing you to the breaking point where silence is no longer an option. Let me back up a few weeks to explain everything. I had been working tirelessly for 4 years, maintaining a 3.8 GPA in mechanical engineering while juggling 2 part-time jobs just to help cover my expenses. My parents constantly reminded me how generous they were for covering my tuition, as if basic parental support was something I owed endless gratitude for. Meanwhile, my younger sister's dance career consumed every bit of their attention, time, and praise like a black hole devouring everything around it. The week before graduation, I tentatively approached them about attending the ceremony. My mother barely looked up from scrolling through my sister's Instagram posts of her latest performance photos, suggesting casually that my sister had a regional dance competition that same weekend, and wouldn't it be nice if the whole family could support her instead? My father jumped in with his typical lecture, telling me that I should be grateful they had paid for my education, pointing out that plenty of kids didn't have that luxury. My sister, stretching across the living room floor in some absurd yoga pose, looked up with that smirk I had grown to hate over the years. She said that nobody really wanted to hear my name called anyway, that graduation ceremonies were boring, and that her performance would surely be far more entertaining. That moment, though quiet on the surface, was when something inside me snapped. Not in a way that could be seen outwardly. I had learned to keep my reactions internal over the years, but mentally, I began to plan my response. I told them I understood that families should support each other, and that maybe they were right about the ceremony being boring. They seemed relieved that I wasn't going to argue. My sister went back to her stretches, likely thinking she had won another round in the imaginary competition she believed we were always having. What they didn't know was that I had been selected as the student speaker for our graduating class. The engineering department had approached me 3 weeks earlier, noting my academic achievements and leadership in various projects. I had accepted but hadn't mentioned it at home, partly because I wanted it to be a surprise and partly because I had learned that my accomplishments were usually met with lukewarm responses. The graduation ceremony was held at the university's main auditorium with about 2,000 attendees, including families. I sat among my fellow graduates, watching parents beam with pride as they took photos and videos, while my stomach twisted thinking about the empty seats that would have been ours in the family section. I pushed those feelings down, knowing I had work to do. When the dean introduced me as the student speaker, I walked to the podium with my prepared speech folded in my pocket, but I didn't pull it out. Instead, I looked across the sea of faces and decided to speak from the heart. I began by congratulating my fellow graduates, acknowledging the hard work and sacrifices we had all made. Then I shifted the topic to family support and its importance during difficult times. I talked about how some of us had families that celebrated every small victory, who showed up at every important moment, who treated our achievements as their own. But then I highlighted that others among us had learned to be their own cheerleaders, to find strength in solitude, and to understand that sometimes the people who should support us most are too busy supporting someone else. I looked directly into the camera that was live streaming the ceremony, knowing that it would broadcast to hundreds of viewers online, including anyone watching from a dance competition. I spoke about a hypothetical student whose parents skipped their graduation to attend their sibling's performance, parents who reminded the student to be grateful for basic support while lavishing praise on the sibling for every small accomplishment. I described how this student might feel standing on that stage, achieving something significant while their family chose to be elsewhere. Then I became specific, explaining how this student might have been told that nobody wanted to hear their name, how they might have been made to feel that their achievements were inconvenient burdens rather than reasons for celebration. The auditorium fell silent. Even the usual rustling and whispered conversations stopped. Professors and staff glanced at each other, realizing this wasn't a typical graduation speech. I continued, saying that sometimes the most important lessons aren't learned from textbooks, but from understanding our own worth independent of others' recognition. I spoke about how achievements mean nothing if we constantly seek validation from people who make it clear they will never provide it. Then I delivered the part one had been building toward. I looked directly into the camera again and said that if anyone watching, this had ever made someone feel that their accomplishments were worthless, that their big moments were inconveniences, or that they should be grateful for receiving the bare minimum of support, then maybe they should examine what kind of family member they really were. I concluded by saying that my fellow graduates and I were entering a world where we would be valued for our contributions, where our hard work would be recognized and rewarded, and where we would have the power to choose who deserves a place in our lives going forward. The applause that followed was unlike anything I had heard before. It started slowly, then grew into something thunderous. People were standing, and I could see several parents wiping their eyes. Faculty members nodded approvingly. As I walked back to my seat, my phone began buzzing with notifications. The live stream had gained significant traction on social media, with viewers sharing clips and commenting on the speech. My engineering classmates patting my back and giving me thumbs up filled me with a sense of quiet satisfaction. About 20 minutes after the ceremony ended, while I was taking photos with friends and their families, my phone rang. It was my mother, her voice tight with anger, asking what I thought I was doing, accusing me of embarrassing the family and airing personal matters publicly. She said people were calling and texting about the speech, that I had humiliated them. I let her finish, then calmly explained that I hadn't named anyone or shared private details, that I had only spoken about the importance of family support, and if she felt embarrassed, perhaps she should consider why. My father got on the phone next, his voice louder and more aggressive, accusing me of being ungrateful, of biting the hand that fed me, and making them look like terrible parents. He demanded an apology and some kind of public statement clarifying that they were good parents. I told him I would not be doing that. I mentioned that I had been offered a full-time position in another state and planned to accept it, moving out within the month. The silence on the other end spoke volumes. My sister finally called, her voice shaking with fury, accusing me of ruining her competition day and stealing her spotlight. I asked how I could steal a spotlight I had never been offered, then hung up. Within 24 hours, the video of my speech had been shared thousands of times on social media, sparking conversations about family favoritism and neglect. Extended family members began reaching out, sharing their experiences and offering support. My uncle apologized for not speaking up, my cousins recounted feeling overlooked, and my grandmother congratulated me, acknowledging my achievements. I accepted the job offer in Colorado, which was real, a mechanical engineering position in renewable energy. The company valued people who could speak up and advocate for themselves, and my graduation speech had actually highlighted that quality. My sister's dance circle noticed the controversy, leading to cryptic social media posts and questions about our family dynamics. My parents attempted family therapy, but it felt like a convenient response after extended family became aware. I agreed to one family meeting before moving, primarily for closure. The meeting was exactly what I expected. Gaslighting and rehearsed presentations about their sacrifices, attempting to portray equal support for both children. I asked hard questions about ignored achievements, unequal recognition, and missed opportunities. My mother said I was too sensitive, claiming my sister had special talents requiring attention. I realized nothing had changed. They were there to manage the situation, not understand me. I confirmed my move to Colorado, explaining I would delay sharing my address. My father bluntly confirmed that I would be entirely independent from then on. Moving to Colorado was the best decision of my life. My job exceeded expectations, my colleagues respected my privacy regarding the graduation incident, and I began receiving letters from others inspired by my story. These letters led me to start a blog about family dynamics and emotional independence. Over time, I built relationships with extended family members who truly valued me. My career flourished, I traveled, saved money, and created a life on my own terms. The relationship with my biological family remained complicated, but clarified. My sister and I spoke once honestly, acknowledging favoritism and its effects. Looking back, that graduation speech was not merely about calling out my parents. It was about claiming my right to celebrate my achievements, expect respect, and refuse to shrink myself for others' comfort. Sometimes standing up for yourself opens doors you never knew existed, and sometimes the family that matters most is the one you choose yourself. The speech lasted 3 minutes. The aftermath lasted months. But the self-respect I gained will last a lifetime. I still keep the video on my phone, not as a reminder of anger, but as proof that I am worthy of standing up for, even alone.